Truly one of the greatest sporting events in all of America in appointment setting is by far the Masters and Augusta National. The beautiful looks that you get there in Augusta, Georgia. This is without a doubt one of the best sporting events that Americans like to tune into for 4 days. Thursday, Friday, moving day today, and also on Sunday, Championship Sunday. We had a chance to catch up earlier with our friend Rocco Mediate. What's it like to play at Augusta National? Talk Tiger Woods, talk the whole event. Here is our friend Rocco Mediate here on SportsGrid. Without a doubt, one of my favorite personalities in the world of golf. We talk to him all the time when he has a moment. It is Masters Week, and it's one of our friends. Rocco Mediate joins us right now. Rocco, how well are you? How you been doing on the Champions Tour? Let's first start there. By the way, the winner of the 2016 Senior PGA Championship as well. How's the world of Rocco Mediate going?
It's good. I can't complain. I have a little 10-year-old little girl, Francesca. We're having a ball with her. I did it all over again. So everything's good. Golf is coming. Golf has not been good, but it's getting good. It's taking a little time to get, it's one of those building things. That's where it is. So it's like, it doesn't look good, but it's close, and I'm working my tail off. So next week will be a good test. We'll see. Anytime you go to a major, you get to find out how good you're playing. So
absolutely. Speaking of majors here we are with the Masters Week. Rocco, what makes that track so difficult for golfers to show up to? Again, like the other major championships, it's a rotating track. This is not. So what makes Augusta National so difficult?
Well, the conditions this week are firm and fast, which that's when it plays the most difficult. Few good scores were shot. Rory played a good round today. Patrick Reed, who I picked him and Rory and Scotty. I go way out on the limb there, don't I? But it's just the green sites. Everyone thinks you can drive it anywhere. Well, you really can't. Now they've made it driving a little more important, but it's a second shots. If you put yourself in the wrong place, I could literally put you somewhere on a green 18 times and you cannot two-putt any of them. I mean, maybe if you chip one in after it putts off the green, stuff like that, but I could put you in a place you'll three-putt 18 straight times. Unless you make 20-footer for par one of those times. It's ridiculous. If you're in the wrong place, you're done.
So for you, it was the greens that was the biggest challenge for you. It wasn't really so much the footing and anything else when you're in the fairways. It was more so where the sticks and where the pins were each and every single day. Yeah,
it's like I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. Augusta National is not hilly to me. Okay, so I'm used to that, but not everybody is. I'm playing off side hill lies and stuff. That's what we did. 13 side, the ball's 7-8 inches above your toes. It's ridiculous. It's cool, but that's how I learned to play off those type of lies. It was the greens that were the toughest, because if you did miss in the wrong place, I don't care how good you are, it's not going to happen. So, and then putting them, reading them, learning where they break. That's why only one guy's won it the first time. And that was fuzzy, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen again either, by the way. But man, they're tough and they're so difficult. But it's the Masters. Everybody watching it knows what the player's looking at. You know what I mean? They've seen it a million times. That's the coolest thing about it, I think. Major in the same place every time.
When you got your invitation, I saw one of those invitations before.
Yeah.
When you got your very first invitation to play at Augusta, what was that like? What was that feeling like for you when you got that first invitation?
Oh, I still have it. It's in somewhere in storage, but no, when I won at Durrell that year in 91, it was in March, so I knew I'm going to Augusta. So you knew it. But when the invitation came, you really knew it. You're like, oh my God, there it is. The 19, whatever, I forget what Masters it was then in 91, but you're like, oh my gosh, here it is. And then you just save them all. Hopefully you get more than one. I think I got 12. But it was, I don't know, it just doesn't get any better. It's like you always knew when you won, it's an invitation to Augusta. And if you finished in the top 15, I believe, you got invited back. I think that's changed, but back then it was 15. So, it was always, and it's an experience. It's like most tournaments you go to, and not that they're bad, but, you get on Monday and you screw around on Tuesday. You might have a pro-am on Wednesday and you go play on Thursday. Or nowadays, we play on Fridays. Well, at Augusta, you're there Sunday, getting in the house you're going to rent because there's no hotels. You can't stay at a hotel. Everyone else already got them. So you got to get a house. And you got all the people you're staying with at the house with you, your friends, because everybody comes out of the woodwork. So you bring different people every time, which is great. I love that part. Then you got to get to the golf course, get situated. It's such a big place that you can't just zip to the range, zip to the first. You got to get in the cart. Now it's like a half a mile away. They changed it. It's so perfect there. Then you got to go out on the golf course, and especially your first year, you don't know what's going on because you're like, "What? This is how far downhill? Where am I at?" Because you can't tell on TV. And when you get to, I remember walking down 10, going, "Wow." It's like you're walking off a cliff. But the whole week is an experience. You know, the locker room people were always fantastic. The food was ridiculously good. Of course, you got to go buy stuff with Augusta on it. Got to go do that. See, that takes time, all this stuff. And then you have to play the tournament. The tournament screws everything up, if you ask me. It's just too much fun before the tournament. But it's really now it's even gotten bigger. The players' areas, like its whole pavilion. Augusta does not screw around. They make it, it's either perfect or they don't do it. And everything that I've ever seen them do is perfect. So it's ridiculous. Cool. So it's a hell of a week. It's a hell of a week.
How about this here, Rocco? You tell me, and Gary Player made this comment, and you tell me if you agree with him, that he said that this was the fourth easiest of the majors when it came to winning a major championship. Do you agree with him in that Augusta, like US Open and the British Open, are probably the hardest to win, and that maybe the Masters, because of the single track that you guys run, you think that that's maybe the easier of the sport?
The single track has nothing to do with it. Augusta National will hold up against any major championship venue in its own way. Okay, doesn't have 12-foot rough, has the fastest, most undulating greens probably on the face of the earth that are playable. Augusta National is fair. You know, you look at some of those green slopes, the slopes on the greens going, what are they, crazy? Then you go up and go, oh, okay, I can see this, but don't hit it here because we're done. You just walk in, you're finished. But the field is smaller, but you have the top players in the world. All of them are there, pretty much top 50, if I'm right, or I could be wrong, but pretty much all of them. So you have a few less people to beat, but do you? See, I don't think you do, because 70% of the field at the U.S. Open has no chance, zero. Okay, so or any other major, because they're just not built for it. It's not a disrespect. It's just the way it is. The other players are better. So at Augusta, there's only 15, 20 guys that can win there too. So you got to still beat the same guys. It's just not as many can come out of nowhere because there are nowhere. There's only 90 guys in the field. But the golf course has nothing to do with the difficulty of the championship. It is one of the most difficult major championship golf courses on earth, and you see it every year. So I disagree with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, because Gary made that comment there at Augusta, and he said that, all right, we're going to continue more of our conversation with our friend Rocco Mediate and get his thoughts on the future of the PGA, a little bit with Liv, and also we got to hit on it. There's no Tiger or Phil for the first time since 1994. They're at Augusta. That's really weird. We'll do more of that. We'll do it next right here on SportsGrid. All right, guys, we're going to continue our conversation with Rocco Mediate. Don't forget my great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America for a reason. It is because they win. This firm was made over 30 years ago by Ultima and John Morgan, and there is no firm like it on the planet. I tell you about the story of the family in Pennsylvania that was initially offered $650K. They ended up getting nearly $30 million in settlement. Or how about the family in Florida that was initially offered $350,000? They ended up getting nearly $12 million in settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sills sent you. No question about it, folks. Augusta National, more of our conversation with our friend Rocco Mediate. We'll do that next. Keep it right here on SportsGrid.
Process is close. Let's call it out for what it is, right? And is it their fault? You could, they've been just besieged and Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball, certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like I've been saying, there's just no event like Augusta National. Each and every single year, we schedule this as appointment setting when you're talking the 4 rounds. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And for the first time since 1994, there was no Tiger and Phil. A lot of storylines with Rory McIlroy. We continue our conversation with PGA golfer Rocco Mediate right here on SportsGrid. Mm-hmm. All right, back here with our friend Rocco Mediate. It is Masters weekend here, and I got to start it out with the defending champion, Rory McIlroy, yes. And he had a really outstanding opening round. He's on the leaderboard, obviously a couple shots off, and as we're talking right now, we're in the weekend here. So you tell me, you think his chances of winning this championship and being a back-to-back champion?
I think once Rory won last year and completed the Grand Slam, only 6 people have ever done it. Which is, think about that. It's ridiculous how big of accomplishment that is. And he did it. So he got that off his back because it was on his back. I mean, it was 11 years he had a chance to do it. And that's how hard it is to win majors, right? But what I said on the radio show last year, over the last couple of years, last year, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, Rory McIlroy will get to 10 major championships. I'm telling you right now.
Wow.
And not because I know everything, but because he's free. Okay. After the Masters last year, he was a little messed up. He's like, oh my God, who knows what we'd have been like? I might have retired I might have been. So he didn't play great after that as far as the majors were concerned, but he's gotten healthy again. He had his golf swing is as good as it's ever been. He's putting beautifully. He has, I shouldn't say nothing to lose. He wants to lead. He wants to be the greatest European player ever. See, so he's got a little bit of work to do. Faldo got 6. How many Seve have? 2, like 5, I think. I 2 think. Masters. Anyway, so Faldo has 6. Okay, Rory wants to be the best European ever, so he's got work to do. But I think he's going to get to 10. Call me crazy. He's still that good. The longest driver out there. This isn't surprising me at Augusta National whatsoever. Whether he wins or not is a different story, but most defending guys don't come out with throw a little 5 under at you, in the morning. And he did. He did. So you can see he's more relaxed. But as the weekend goes, but he's already done it once. He knows he can do it again. Whole different game.
I have to ask you about Scotty Scheffler here, and I can only think of this, and you help me out on the tradition of the PGA's history here. I can only think of Gene Littler that went through like these kind of stretches where, you're talking about a guy winning a ton of championships, a ton of events here. Can he keep it up? Do you think he's in that conversation right now when we're talking about some of the greatest golfers of all time? Do you think he's in that conversation right now, Scotty Scheffler? By the way, he's contending right now.
Yeah, 100% he's in the because he doesn't do a lot of bad things. His game is so tight all around that it's kind of ridiculous. In a good way. He will surpass Tiger's #1 ranking weeks for sure on the run he's on now. Okay, as long as he stays upright, he will surpass the 300 and some weeks. Okay, I said that 6 months ago. His golf game is so good all around. The only thing that'll stop him is him. It's the only thing that'll stop him. If he goes skiing, if he cuts his hand again, if he changes something, they're always trying to get better. But with Randy Smith, Randy's not going to let him go, yeah, Randy, I want to hit big draws the rest of my career. He's done. He's not going to do that. He's going to maintain what he has and make it more precise. But he's still the best in the world from 120 yards in, period. That's where he gets you. And that's where he will continue to get you because everybody misses. But he's better than everybody else around. Not everybody, but he's as good as anybody around the greens. So, and he's also one of the best iron players. So when you got those two, it's hard to beat. It's just hard to beat. If he plays Scotty Scheffler golf this week, he will have another green jacket. Simple as that. I don't care what Rory does.
Yeah.
See,
for me, it's more I should have said instead of Gene, I should have said Byron Nelson because Byron Nelson he went on those tremendous runs. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, Rocco, your friend Tiger Woods. I mean, all the things that are going on with Tiger right now, just your takeaways and where he is right now and where the game of golf and where he fits in the game of golf.
Well, Tiger is, we always say that he moves the needle. He became the needle a long time ago. The thing that needs to stop happening is all these idiots out there sounding off on Tiger right now. See, it's so easy to go after a guy that's hurt. He's hurt. Whether you call it whatever you want. He's got a little bit of an issue that he's going to fix. Okay? They're attacking. Attack. Why don't you all shut up and let him go do his thing? He had to leave the country to do it because of privacy. That's nauseating to me. Not from him, think about it. He has to go out of the country so he can do something without people getting on him. Everybody needs to shut up and let him do what he does. Unless you're perfect, which we know there's no perfect, only one. And he's not right here. Okay? We know exactly where he is. So please stop chiming in about what he did and how he did it and why he should do this. I mean, stop it. Just be quiet because nobody wants to hear it. Let him go. See how he comes back. Hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully he can hang out with his kids. Done. We all make mistakes. That's the way it is. So that's what made me mad. And sad. I'm sad for him. His body failed him because it blew up. And, it took away his livelihood a little bit. He's still a golfer, man. But it'd be cool if he could hang out with his kids and just be normal for a while. But that's not going to happen normal-wise. He's too famous. But, we miss him, but that's selfish. He needs to get back and be healthy and be done. And if golf comes in, great. If doesn't, great. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Rocco, you're right. I never thought about the fact that he has to leave the country because
it's ridiculous.
It really is there, man. It is. Rocco, I appreciate you. I hope we can do this again, my friend.
Anytime you want, just let me know. I'm in.
You got it. Rocco,
good stuff.
Good luck on the Champions Tour. We'll talk to you soon. That's Rocco Mediate. Keep it right here on SportsGrid. All right, we are going to talk with Rocco Mediate as we get closer to the U.S. Open. Another PGA Championship talk with him. We'll also get into him with the British Open. So he'll be with us here throughout the year here talking major championships and major golf events. Love talking with Rocco Mediate. No question. He's right in a way. I've been pretty hard on Tiger Woods as well. First time since 1994, no Tiger or Phil. They're at Augusta National. And when you're looking at what we're looking at here with what those two guys were needle movers. Those two guys moved the ratings needles. No matter what you say here about Tiger Woods, whether you like him or not, he's a needle mover. We're going to talk Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel, that whole scenario, next here on SportsGrid.
process is closed. Let's call it out for what it is, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line only on SportsGrid.
Okay, the story that has dominated social media this past week and really the sports cycle has been this Diana Rossini from The Athletic and also the New York Times, which owns The Athletic, and also this Mike Vrabel story. Journalism and the credibility, once again, of the National Football League is put online here. Well, let's take a look at it. Journalism took a hit because at the end of the day, Diana Rossini is now being accused of having a relationship with the head football coach of the New England Patriots. And on the other hand, you got a married head football coach that is having a relationship with a head writer in one of the most elite writers in the National Football League, in Diana Rossini. By the way, for the record, I respect her work. Her stories have been elite. She's one of the top sports writers, and she might just be the top women's sports writer in the entire country when it comes to covering the National Football League. These pictures that were posted by the New York Post also is something that, for me, as a person that works in our business, obviously, you're going to talk about journalistic integrity. But on the other hand, you also have the National Football League's head coach. Now, integrity when it comes to the NFL, you got a quarterback that's sitting in Cleveland right now that has over 32 sexual misconduct cases against him. What happened in the NFL? The National Football League gave that guy a raise. They guaranteed over $230 million. So when it comes to integrity of the National Football League and it comes to integrity of their coaches, this goes down a standard stereotype that people have about the National Football League. Do you really think they care about integrity when it comes to right and wrong? Of course not. It's all about cash registers. Diana Rossini, on the other hand, she's a respected journalist, and she has hurt her reputation. I'll throw some people out at you here. Joy Taylor. Another person is Rachel Nichols. What happened to those folks once these stories came out that had some type of connection when it comes to what we just saw with Diana Rossini being in a relationship with Mike Vrabel? You saw what happened to their careers. Obviously, Diana Rossini could be looked at as, are you influencing a narrative? Here, I'll throw this out at you. She voted on the Coach of the Year award for Mike Vrabel. She also voted on the Player of the Year for Drake May. So at the end of the day, are you influencing votes when it comes to Player of the Year and head coaching? When you've got that kind of say and you've got that kind of power when it comes to awards. By the way, do you know if you win an NFL MVP award in your contract, that could be as much as a $2 million bonus if you make that incentive. Plus, it makes your coaching staff look great that you're coaching the assistant coach of the year in Josh McDaniels, who she also votes for. And on top of that, there's also a narrative that she's one of the front riders when it comes to this A.J. Brown story and A.J. going to New England. The word is 2s and 3s that New England wants to only offer. And Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Eagles, wants a 1 and a 2. There was a story that just came out in Los Angeles with Les Snead, the general manager of the Rams, saying that there was a deal potentially out there for A.J. Brown where Devontae Adams would be sent to Philadelphia. Could this be? And again, this is all speculation like everything else is. A lot of words came out that one of the reasons that the Rams hedged on that was because they were starting to hear about a knee injury that A.J. Brown had suffered when he came out of college out of Ole Miss. And this was starting to pop up. Was that a conversation to diminish the market? Can a writer influence a story? Do you believe that Mel Kiper, when he puts out his draft rankings, do you think Mel Kiper influences whether or not a guy's a fifth rounder or a third rounder because he's their lead analyst? Go back in the history of Mel Kiper and look at how Mel Kiper has been looked at with an agent by the name of Gary Ricard back in the day. And the DOJ and the FBI were investigating before Gary Ricard passed away. Talking about bonuses, talking about inflating a guy's draft value. What happens when you inflate a guy's draft value? That agent makes more on a signing bonus. And again, all of this was alleged. That investigation went away after Gary Ricard died. So my question would be, can sports writers influence a narrative? Absolutely. And I'm not saying in any way that Diana Rossini is sitting here influencing what Howie Roseman and what Elliot Wolf, the executive vice president of the Patriots, are going to do. That's not where I'm going here, because those guys are not going to be influenced in Liars Month as we're getting closer to the NFL draft. Journalistic integrity was put on and in the bullseye this week. And you got the NFL again, once again, with a coach that, again, with questionable motives here. 2 hours away from the owners' meetings, you go to a resort and a head writer for the New York Times and a head football coach that was just in the Super Bowl, and you put those two together, all I'm saying here is this. I mean, that's not a good look for the NFL and for journalism. Diana Rossini is one of the most respected writers that we have in our business. All right, we're going to switch gears. Tommy Lorenzo, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball with him, a little bit on the national title game next here on SportsGrid.
The process is closed. Let's call it out for this, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Man, we've had quite a week. We got Masters going on now, and then on top of that, we just came off the national championship game this past Monday where Michigan held off UConn. UConn held in there for a little bit, bud. No question about it. Michigan just absolutely was the better basketball team. Tommy Lorenzo joins us now. And Tommy, just to get a recap off that, how impressed were you with that run that Michigan had to win the national title?
Oh, very, very, very much impressed. They just looked better and better as the tournament went on. I mean, how many double-digit wins did they have before the UConn game? I'm starting to think, weren't all of them double digits before the final? I believe. I mean,
believe it was.
That's pretty dominant. Their guard there, Cadeau, just excellent. We'll see what they can do for an encore. In this environment, very tough for a team to come back. And have that kind of run. But, they showed in the middle of the season kind of what they were about. They hit a little rough patch or a little lull, and then maybe some people started doubting them a little bit. But, man, once the tournament started, they showed 100% they were the best team in the country.
I'm a Danny Hurley fan, and I'm a UConn fan. Do you think UConn comes back stronger? What's crazy I found out was right after that national title game, the portal opened up at midnight. So you're back on the recruiting chair right away the next morning to sit there and try to retool your basketball team. You think the guys in stores make another run next year?
I cannot doubt him, because as crazy as it may seem to us watching him on TV, obviously he connects very well with his players, and he gets studs that go to UConn. I mean, that's an elite program now. It fell off a little bit for a time, but if you're a really good player looking to go deep into the tournament and get exposure, I mean, you've got to put UConn in that mix. So, I'm not going to doubt his coaching acumen. He's already shown what he can do with teams and what his record is in the tournament too, 11-1 or after the sweep. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, all full speed ahead for UConn. I'm not going to doubt them till he leaves or goes to another job.
Let me ask you a broad question here on this with the Big Ten. How has the Big Ten moved ahead of the Southeastern Conference when it comes to college sports? I mean, they won the women's national championship with UCLA. They won the men's, obviously. This is now 4 years in a row, too, where they won the NCAA college football national championship. How have they moved ahead of the Southeastern Conference?
Well, I mean, I guess the easy answer is they can pay their guys now too. Maybe where before. Maybe
that is exactly where I was going, Tommy. A lot of people in the SEC are now going like this. How did they get ahead? And the Big Ten retort is back saying this. Well, now when everything is on top of the table here instead of under the table, this is what given Michigan, Ohio State, and the Big Ten schools the ability now to move ahead. So, do you subscribe to that?
I do subscribe to it. And, you got teams in the SEC that are still, plenty good. But when it comes to championship now, it's got to be a combination. You got to, I hate to use the word buy, but pay the right players. But you got to have programs that are ready to win. Indiana is a perfect example. They made a good move, obviously, with Signetti. That's obvious. But, the playing field has been even now with the whole NIL type of thing. So I think that's really the key thing. And the Big Ten's run well. They've got good fan support, great athletics, as does the SEC, of course. But now with that evening up, it's happened. Now, I still think you're going to see ebbs and flows to that. Big Ten's top of the mountain right now, but the SEC will be back, and you never know. The Big 12 has some very good teams, and any influx of money is going to turn the tide a little bit. So we'll see how it goes, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of people don't like the NIL. I get it. I have some concerns about it too, but it's even the playing field a little bit for sure.
Let's drop a bunt and go over to baseball. Some pretty good series going on. And really, it's pretty much seeing a lot of parity in baseball out of the gate here when you look at the divisions right now in baseball in the National American League. So let me take you to Tampa. The Rays end up taking the opening of that series against the Yankees. The Yankees got out to a great start. We'll talk about that a little bit later on here, but what do you like in this series here? Starting pitching is probably going to be a centerpiece here with this. Yankees and Rays in this weekend series. Who do you like?
Well, yesterday's game was a good one, and the Rays always play the Yankees tough. But when you got Max Fried on the mound, you figure you're going to have a chance to win. The thing with the Yankees is that their batting has been so inconsistent. I don't think they've done a good enough job in getting the bats they need. And another thing I don't like with the Yankees is Aaron Boone messing with Ben Rice. The kid can hit. If there's a lefty on the mound, throw him in there. I mean, you got Goldschmidt there, I understand, but if you got guys that can hit, get them in there, let them roll. Ben Rice is an MVP candidate right now out of nowhere. And yet, he sits versus most lefties still, where Aaron Boone said he's going to play more against lefties. So there's still some inconsistencies with the Yankees that I think need to be cleaned up. They're hitting as well. Their pitching's ridiculous, and they have more reinforcements coming. They just got to get the hitting under control. And that doesn't necessarily mean getting, hitters via trade or anything. That would help. But I think Aaron Boone messes with that lineup a little more than he should.
How about in Baltimore? They made a lot of moves. They got a lot of young guys as core dudes that they're trying to build around by putting some of these free agents in. They got the Giants. Who do you like in this series this weekend?
Yeah, I like the Orioles. I mean, the Giants are starting to hit. They got off to a really, really slow start with the bats. The thing with the Orioles is that their pitchers haven't come out of the gate very strong, but they're going to be fine. They have a very solid rotation there. It's just some of these guys haven't got out of the gate very quick. But I do like the Orioles at home. Their bats are starting to wake up. Gunnar Henderson now is tied for league in home runs. And he always does well early in the season too. So it's nice to see that he's come out of the gate well after a slow start last season. I like the Orioles.
How about the Padres this year? A lot of people are saying now that they're stopped spending money because they lost that television contract with Bally Sports. And so now all of a sudden you're seeing that pull back. I know they're going through a transition when it comes to ownership. Peter Seidler unfortunately died last year, got Colorado. Are the Padres starting to come back to the pack now? Machado, Tatis, still got a lot of superstars on that baseball team. But again, Colorado, San Diego this weekend. Who do you like?
Yeah, I still have my doubts about the Padres popping in that division. I did make a big no bet on them to make the playoffs this year. I was looking to go under their win total, but their win total was right around 83.5 or so. So they could still clear that win total and miss the playoffs. Mason Miller's a big story. His Cy Young odds were 100-1, now down to 25-1. He's ridiculous. He's like Superman on the mound. We'll see how long that lasts. Relievers tend to, have their days and have their hot streaks. The Rockies have done pretty good. Their pitching has been pretty surprising. Whether that can continue, I don't know. This weekend, though, you got to give the nod to the Padres. But you got Tatis, I don't think he's hit a home run yet. And there's a lot of issues there. And I don't see the Padres doing anything at the trade deadline because they're spending right now. There's a pause button hit on it. So we'll see.
And obviously, I can get a sense of a Dodger fan there a little bit here. Dodgers and Rangers. Hey, I saw Shohei Ohtani, his last outing. What was it, 6 1/3? This guy's throwing BBs now. Is it me, or is he getting better and better and better every single time I tune on the television? Tommy, he's become appointment-setting TV. I mean, remember when Bonds used to come to the plate? You'd want to watch what Bonds would do. People getting around him. Real quick here, in your opinion, I mean, Shohei Ohtani, is he getting better?
Yeah, I think there's two sides to this. I think it's pretty obvious that he focused on making sure he was fully cranked to pitch this year, and it's showing. The bat, he's still getting on base. The critique with him is if he's B+ or A batter, that's great. Because he's been A+ the whole time, though. So I think with the bat, there's going to be a slight regression. But like I said, you're talking about an A+ student getting an A. But the focus has been on pitching, and he's just getting better on the mound. It's pretty ridiculous.
So he's talking 280 and 30 homers and 80 RBIs. We're going to talk more with Tommy next here on SportsGrid.
I know you didn't. Talk!
I'm innocent. Got the wrong guy. It wasn't me. I didn't do anything.
Okay,
Okay, it was me. I did it.
Bringing an owl to an interrogation? That's a power move.
Every time.
Yeah. Hiring America's largest injury law firm for your injury? That's also a power move. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here, I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
And a lot of baseball conversation going on here with Tommy Lorenzo here. And, funny, we were talking just in the timeout. I never even broached this before. I never thought about it. Is it a possibility that Shohei Ohtani could win the National League MVP award and potentially win the Cy Young Award in the same season? That would go down as the greatest year, maybe in baseball history, if he was able to accomplish that.
Yeah, well, the name recognition, as you know, is very important when it comes to these awards because it's so subjective with, the voting. You're not just looking at just pure stats. You're looking at, a lot of other things too. It's possible. Again, I think the hitting part of this is where he may fall short for MVP. We'll see, though. I'm not going to be one to ever doubt anything that Shohei Ohtani could do. But as far as pitching, right now everyone's saying Mason Miller is the Cy Young guy because there's not really been a guy, and it's so early though, in the National League that's looked lights out from a pitching standpoint. Skeens had that rough outing. He's settled in, but his ERA was sky high, and now he's trying to cut into that, as where Shohei's been money. You got Yamamoto, his teammate, there too. So, of course, there's a lot of obstacles to get through. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that if he keeps putting up numbers on the mound and, that bat, keeps rolling, that would be something someone would have said have been impossible. It's not impossible.
Is he the greatest Dodger player of all time? I mean, you had Campanella with 3 MVPs back in the day when they were in Brooklyn. You talk about some of the great players that they have had in Los Angeles. Is he the greatest player the Dodgers have ever had?
If Shohei was on the Yankees, I think you can make an argument that is he the best Yankee ever? Well, you got Mantle, DiMaggio, Gehrig, Ruth. As far as the Dodgers go, yeah, I think so, and I think history will show that he is. Dodgers have had some great players, guys like Koufax, they've had pitchers. But yeah, I think already that's where it's headed. How quickly you can say, yeah, he is, I don't know. After 2, 3, 4 more years, we'll see. But undoubtedly, I think he's going to go down. Obviously, he's one of the best Major League Baseball players in the history of the game, and certainly the greatest Dodger. Probably is going to be kind of a no doubt type of statement.
Yeah, I think you go by Duke Snyder when you're looking at the numbers and you're talking Shohei Ohtani here. Obviously, Duke did that when he was in Brooklyn, but no question about it. The greatest Los Angeles Dodger of all time's got to be Shohei Ohtani. Let's go over to the ABS system. What's your takeaways and your early takeaways so far on the automatic balls and strike system for Major League Baseball? Do you like it?
You know, I'm pretty old school, and when it was being tested in the minor leagues, I had my doubts. I wasn't very keen on the whole robot ump type thing, which really hasn't evolved to that yet. I really like it. It's added a fun element to the game. You know, I think they did it right. They sped the games up a little bit. So when this was introduced, the games were already moving along with the pitch clock and all that. I think if this would have been done 7-8 years ago without those changes, I think it would have been a little more cumbersome and kept the games even slower. But given the changes they made and then introducing this, I think it was perfect. And I really do like it. They have the right amount of challenges. It's not like every other pitch that guys are challenging. They're being very strategic. From a fan standpoint, it's great because you're pitching, you know, if you're betting over under on strikeouts and things like that, you're just begging for the catcher, hey, you know, challenge that. It was right there. So it adds a cool element to it. I like it.
How about this, though, Tommy? Do you agree that you're kind of shrinking the strike zone because many of the umpires who are getting hammered now with this balls and strike system, they were schooled from letters to knees, and now you've kind of shrunk that strike zone a little bit. So if it's off by a centimeter, these umpires are getting like they're getting poor publicity now for what the system is showing here. So again, is that something that maybe Major League Baseball wasn't ready for? Is that these umpires were schooled differently for generations on what the strike zone was? So again, maybe we have to give, and I hate saying this, but we give the umps a small pass here in the first year of the system.
Yeah, I certainly do, except for CB Buckner. He's the absolute worst umpire. He's just absolutely atrocious. Angel Hernandez and him are neck and neck. But yeah, no, I give the umps a pass. I think it's a human element and a computer element. And unfortunately, that computer is going to get it right with the visuals and everything else. So yeah, you do give them a pass. They still play a role. There's still managers getting kicked out of games. So that element of baseball is still there that I like. Instant replay took a lot of that away with close calls at first and things like that. And, I like when the manager comes out and starts yelling a little bit, adds a little spice to the game. But no, I give the umpires a mulligan. I think it's making the game better, and I don't mind it at all.
Do you see a lot of parity out of the gate here in the first couple weeks of the season? I mean, you saw the Yankees get out to that 7-2 start, and all of a sudden they started coming back after that Marlins series. Now they're going into this tough race series that, like you said, there's always a great battle. Have you been surprised by the parity in the game?
A little bit. There's a lot of divisions where you got teams within a game or two of each other. The East, I think the Yankees are the only team over 500. Everyone else is like 6-7. So if the Yankees, lose a few games here, they're going to come right back to the pack. And you got, Toronto and other teams there. The thing is, I think some teams that were expected to do well have not been playing that well. The defending AL East champs, the Blue Jays, have been very mediocre. The Mariners, with that pitching staff, they're not hitting, and they're like 5-9 right now. So yeah, it's way early. Dan, the way I see it, it's week 2 of the NFL. So what can you take out of that? You can take a little bit out of it, but not much. So we'll have to see where everything goes. The Braves have surprised me. Their pitching's been decimated. They lead the league in ERA. And the best run differential in baseball, where I thought they'd be a middle of the pack in that division, but still way too early.
How about Alex Cora and the Red Sox starting out at 4-9? A lot of people screaming there in Boston earlier in the week when they had an atrocious record, one of the worst records and one of the worst starts in Red Sox history. Are you concerned there with Boston?
Yeah, this isn't a surprise to me. They're going to eat that Ranger Suarez contract, 130, 140 million. He's not a pitcher worth that. And he goes today, and I think the Cardinals are primed for an upset here at home against Suarez. They're an underdog. Roman Anthony, I think a lot was made of him, very young, and pitchers have adjusted to him a little bit. So, yeah, I'm not too hot. I wasn't hot on the Red Sox at the beginning of the season. They have Crochet, obviously, who's a stud, but I'm not surprised at all. I don't think they're going to contend. I think the Orioles are going to pop, and the Yankees are going to be obviously at the top of that division. I think the Orioles will surge. That's who it's looking like to me early.
I'll tell you what, Tommy, I'm with you. I think the parity in Major League Baseball is out there, and maybe the ABS system has something to do with that. Tommy, I appreciate you very much. Final thoughts next, right here on SportsGrid.
The process is closed. Let's call it out for what it is, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists, to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You know, I saw one of the coolest things on the planet yesterday, and I think that's appropriate. We had a chance to watch something as a family yesterday. My daughter and I, we got a chance, and it reminded me when I was a kid, me watching with my grandfather the Apollo space shots and watching the astronauts come back from space, landing on Earth, and then watching that yesterday with my kid was absolutely great. Was this not one of the true greatest moments that we've seen all year? With everything going on the way it is in the world, watching Artemis 2 splash down and watching with the ingenuity of everything that went on to get these astronauts and these 4 American heroes back to Earth. This was a great moment yesterday, at least for me and my family.
Houston Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.
We watched this
From the pages
live.
of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
Fantastic. It gave you goosebumps. It gave us goosebumps. My daughter was even making a comment. She said, you talk about American pride. You talk about pride to be an American. That's exactly what that was. That had no politics. That had no conversations about sexuality. That had no conversations about wars. That had no conversations about religion. It was all about Americans rooting for Americans to return from space to Earth. We need more of these moments. It puts a smile on your face, doesn't it? It's not so much that we have all the things going on in the world. Gas prices going up. We got a war going on now in the Middle East. We still have that war going on in Ukraine. And when you see something like that, it galvanizes you. It unites. And we have so few of those moments where we get a chance to unite the country. You know, this is one of the great things that makes sports truly one of the greatest things that we have to watch, because we can get away from all that with this. How many times do you show up to a sports stadium and there's 65,000 fans in the seats? You sit down, get your beer, get your dog, and you're sitting down and you're rooting on your favorite team. Nobody's talking politics. Nobody's talking religion. Nobody's talking about what sexual preference you are. It's all about, hey, are the New York Giants going to win the Super Bowl this year? How well do you think they're going to play against the Dallas Cowboys? We need more of these moments that galvanize us. And when you see something like Artemis 2 splashing down in America, and you see them and you watch what it meant to everyone, they were doing this at Citibank. I can't tell you how many sports stadiums and arenas were airing Artemis landing as we watch these American heroes come back. And I think they are American heroes. When I was a kid, the thing I wanted to be, I didn't want to be a professional athlete. I wanted to be Neil Armstrong, because back in the day when I was a young kid, watching these astronauts go to space and come back to Earth was truly one of the greatest things that I can remember as a kid. And I got a chance to sit down with my grandpa. The entire nation, the entire world used to watch these astronauts come back from space. And to see this yesterday, we're watching it as a family. My daughter and I were like, get them out of the capsule. Let's go. And everyone was enjoying it yesterday. And you saw so many posts over on social media where, for the first time in about a year, I saw social media come together going, isn't that a great moment? Wasn't that a moment that absolutely galvanized our country? As I said, we need so many more of these moments. And to see how the technology, how the people behind the scenes, how about the way that everyone went out and got the astronauts, and how they went out and cared for the astronauts and brought them back aboard the ship. And there they were coming out of the helicopter one by one. And you're watching these American heroes. It was like retro old school, going back to the Apollo program when we used to watch it, as I said, as a kid. I thought it was truly inspiring. And we need more inspiring moments, not just, again, through our sports world. You know, it's funny. People go, well, this is not really sports related. No, but you know what? One thing for me is moments like this galvanize you, just like sports is supposed to galvanize us. We root for one thing. We root for success. And all of us were rooting for that yesterday, watching those astronauts splash down. I truly thought it was one of the coolest things that I've seen in a long time. You know, we get a lot of pride when we watch Team USA win the U.S. went on to win in Milan the gold medal at the hockey event. Also women. Now we get an opportunity to see it again here. We saw the World Baseball Classic. It galvanized us. In a moment like this, Artemis 2 splashing down, how absolutely cool was that? And I got the chance to do it with my kid. And I got a chance to do something that reminded me when I was a kid that I did with my grandfather, is watching the Apollo's astronauts splash down, and I got a chance to see this. Great stuff. We will be on Championship Sunday with the Masters. Guys, appreciate you. See you on the flip side.
The process is closed. Let's call it out for what it is, right? And is it their fault? You could argue, they've been just besieged at Embiid, but it just continues, Kevin, right? As soon as he's like, don't worry about my health, and then here we are, right? I would have traded him a couple of years ago. I would have gotten ahead of the curve, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Am I going overboard when I'm saying that? I've never seen anything like this.
He's damn good, and it seems like he has an extra focus on pitching. I saw him pitch with the Angels and hit with the Angels, and it seemed like hitting was what he was trying to prove. Maybe because guys like John Smoltz would come out and said, "Oh, he should be a pitcher only."
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Shocking reality, I think, for college basketball. Certainly the purists to see a legendary school struggle to land a current college heavyweight. But this is the new world order. Mike Malone is either going to be the greatest hire in modern college basketball history, or North Carolina is going to be conducting another incredibly expensive coaching search in the next couple of seasons.
The Early Line, only on